Welcome back to another episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show, partnered with Walls Furniture Mattress. My name is Drew Larison. This is the Kokomo Post, and let's take a moment right up top just to thank some of our sponsors for the show. IPT's spring sports season is around the corner, and IPT screen printing is the place to go for your uniform needs. Contact Kyle Fouts at 765-480-3082 for more information. There's a 20-shirt minimum required. Check them out on Facebook. That's IPT's screen printing, screen printed apparel for any occasion and uniforms for any sport. Also, we've got Family Fun Factory Outlet. Springtime is here, and the Fun Factory Outlet Indiana has the state's largest selection of cedar play sets to choose from. Located just south of Crossroads Church on 931 in Kokomo, Fun Factory Outlet Indiana is offering 36-month financing at 0%, or you can save as much as 15% when you pay in cash or card. Sales run through April 30th. Call them today at 522-PLAY. Once again, that's 522-PLAY. Get your kids outside and play this spring.
Absolutely.
With Fun Factory Outlet Indiana. Mr. Mayor, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great.
How was your weekend?
Good. Not as full as yours, but we had a good time. Actually snuck away on Sunday, which taping wise was yesterday, even though this airs on Tuesday. Yeah. But yeah, Sunday was my brother's birthday, but we headed over to Purdue for the Purdue IU baseball game. It ended up being a doubleheader.
Oh, didn't Purdue kill IU?
No.
Or was it
yes, that was
it was like
Saturday.
17-0.
Saturday was 17-0, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but I guess Saturday was the day we should have gone because Kokomo products, Jack Perkins and Kyle Wade were both pitching on Saturday, so we missed them in action going on Sunday. But believe it or not, the Purdue athletic program gave me the opportunity to throw in the first pitch.
Oh my gosh!
Pretty
That's
cool.
A big deal.
It was fun. Yeah,
I've never thrown a first pitch.
So yeah,
how'd you do? Because that's a pressure situation.
It was outside. I mean, I got it across the plate.
That's all it takes.
It wasn't in the dirt. It was a little outside. But
if you get it over the plate, it's a success in those situations. Because some of the throws you see on the internet, like you could have been a viral sensation and not the best way.
Oh, yeah. Well, last year when Championship Park opened and they did the separate opening ceremonies for the leagues, they had me throw out the first pitch for the girls softball league. And I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll go ahead and try the fast pitch, underhand pitch. Skipped it in.
Yeah, that's always tough to. I've never even tried
that.
I feel like the ball would just go like straight up in the air if I tried that. No, that's cool. Yeah. So I mean, you mentioned it. So we had quite a whirlwind.
Yes, you did.
A week last week and yesterday.
Jealous.
We planned a last minute Disney trip for the kids, and if there's anyone watching this that has to also have dealt with flights recently. Wednesday, we were supposed to fly out at 6 a.m. Turned into quite a debacle because we woke up at 2 a.m. with a nice little note from the airline saying, hey,
by the way,
flight's canceled. Yeah, so had to deal with that. We ended up making the decision to drive. So we drove straight to Orlando. We left at 4 a.m. We got to
16 hours, 18 hours,
18 roughly, right? Around roughly 18 hours to get there. We got there around 9 p.m., 9:30 area, and then woke up super early the next morning, and we Disney'd hard for three straight days.
Disney'd hard.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday at the park. It was the first time we've been to Epcot, so that was neat.
Oh, cool.
Epcot is beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's like their garden and flower festival right now. So
perfect.
It was really pretty.
Yeah,
kids had a good time.
I want to go back to Epcot without the kids and do the
Drink Around the World.
Drink Around the World.
That's on my list for sure. Yeah. You know, it's Aaron and I were slowly, I think, just becoming Disney addicts. Like we love going to Disney World, and like so much point. Like, it's our 10-year anniversary this year, and like Aaron legitimately looked at me and said, like, what if you and I just come down for our 10-year? And I said, honey, that'll be like 3 times in 18 months that we'd go to Disney. So I don't know.
At which point she replied, and your point.
Yeah, it was great. The weather Thursday was a little like crazy rainy, Florida rainy. but dear me, it was perfect on Friday and Saturday. So then
Nice.
yesterday we got in the car, 4 a.m. in Orlando, and drove back. We got to Kokomo at 9 o'clock last night, and the kids were at school this morning, and we're here at work, and life goes on.
Making it happen.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Too
It was a
fun.
good time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
We did, I know you were talking about it a little bit before we started filming. So we did the Star Wars World at Hollywood Studios, and my son got...
If you guys follow these guys on Facebook, you got to see this picture of...
So cute. So my son, like, he hasn't even really watched Star Wars, right?
Nope.
No, he hasn't got into it yet. But like, he loves the Star Wars rides, and we got done with Rise of the Resistance, which is, in my opinion, the best ride on Disney property as a whole. And they have, of course, the gift shop, and like
A gift shop after a ride?
I know, exit through the gift shop. And they had like this awesome X-Wing fighter red helmet that he just fell in love with immediately. And like, I'm Disney dad, so I had to.
Oh, you had to get it.
It for him, and it's cool. Like, you can put batteries in it, and it changes your voice and stuff like that.
Nice.
So yeah, we had a good trip.
You.
We had a good trip. Back.
Awesome.
Glad to be back in the Mo.
Well, I will also say that Disney Dad here, when we drove, we don't have like a luggage limit, right? So we came back with way more
than you left
souvenirs.
with.
Yeah, if you fly, you gotta watch that stuff.
Yeah, like way more. So the 18 hours of driving, we are like zombies today. But man, like, way more room for
you got to take advantage of that.
X-Wing helmets and other nonsense.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of that, because there was no limit in my car of how much stuff I could put in there. So
Perfect.
No, it was fun. It was a good spring break, and all the kids are back at school today, and hopefully the teachers feel rested and ready to take on the kids.
Sure they do.
This last
God love
sprint
'em.
before summer. So tell me what's going on at City Hall this week.
City Hall this week, still a little bit of spring cleaning, getting projects continued. I know we talked about it last week as well. Unfortunately, Koko-Go Bike Share, we closed that down over the weekend just because of the weather. Just really
wasn't like sunny and 70 here?
No.
That's weird.
It is today, kind of, pushing 70 maybe. But planning on having it back open this weekend. It will be closed on Easter Sunday, so those that want to don their Easter bonnet and come down and ride the trails cannot on Easter Sunday unless you bring your own bike.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, just really excited. We had a study done on the fire department, getting those results in. We're going to meet with them in a couple of days and go through that. So excited to see how that comes out and where that discussion goes. But yeah, just laying the groundwork for spring and summer projects.
What specific study was that done?
Just to look at the efficiencies and how we compare to other communities our sizes with staffing and resources and the age of the fleet, the viability of bringing an ambulance service back in, what that looks like, and the staffing levels that would be required for that. Facilities, just an overall. A similar study was done on the police department back in 19, and so we kind of used that as the model because was the blueprint kind of that Chief Stout ran with and looking at staffing and resources and everything. And so we saw the benefit of him having that, and so with the fire department and having the same challenges and concerns as well, we wanted to give them a resource, give us a resource, working together for this to then show council as well, so that we can all be heading in the right direction.
So does that study? So that's not a yearly thing. That's just like a spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And who does that study?
We actually consulted or hired Crow Chiswick to do the study. They do similar studies on other municipalities. Okay. They have not done specifically on a fire department. They've done some on municipalities, of which the fire department was a component of that, but we asked them just to narrow it specifically to the fire department. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So when does that results come back from that?
We're meeting with representatives from the fire department, both the administration and union representatives.
Are those results public?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Not yet.
Okay.
So,
it should be interesting because I know there's been a lot of discussion, especially in the ambulance situation. We've talked about it a lot on this show, as well as online. People are that's actually, we have a question about it today. So
perfect.
Yeah, it's a popular topic, as well as, I mean, we've talked about that too. Firefighter union and all of those. It's kind of constantly a conversation. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Mayor Goodnight had their, I guess, call them issues with the fire department back when he was in the office. So, I mean, that's nothing new. Also, I saw the leaf and limb pickup. I wanted to let you talk about this for a minute, because it is different and a little bit more specific of what people should be prepared for.
Yeah, so limb and leaf and yard waste pickup is an additional benefit. I mean, it's not something that's considered trash. I believe Mayor Troball, either Mayor Sargent or Mayor Troball, started the service to residents, and we've continued it. Well, now that a company, Green Cycle, is now managing the Yard Waste Center on behalf of the Howard County Recycling District, they do ask that things not be commingled. So it's almost like, I mean, same as recycling. Now that we can commingle recycle, put it all in the same container, unfortunately, yard waste wise, they want us to separate that. So specific limbs and logs and such be in one pile, and then if you end up doing leaves or like garden waste or other, you can't do grass clippings, just leaves and other larger garden waste or yard waste have to be in separate piles.
Where does all of that go?
So it'll get.
Is there just a place that there was a bunch of sticks from everybody's yard? Yeah. Where does it go?
Yeah, so along Dixon Road, just south of Markland Avenue on the east side. It was originally managed by the Howard County Recycling District, but now it's Green Cycle. They got a nice big sign out there. And so those are collected. Both city and county can come in. Now that Green Cycle is working, there's no charge to city or county residents to bring those in. Before, the district was to help offset the cost, was charging, I think, $15 to $25 a car or truckload. Now it's completely free to the residents of Kokomo and Howard County. And so they've got grinding equipment, and so they grind it up, and basically some of it they resell, will resell for fertilizer or for mulch. Got it. Okay. So, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, and I also had Koko-Go bike share. That was closed, but that's coming up soon, so that should be exciting. Sir. And they, I believe Tori is still in need of maybe a couple extra bodies to help man the Koko-Go bike share program, as well as lifeguards and pool managers down at Kokomo Beach. So if anybody's still interested, they can go to the city's website, and there's a link on there if you go to the Human Resources Department for jobs. Otherwise, I think there's also a specific post on Facebook that you can go. It's probably been a couple weeks since that has been posted, but they can get that information there. Or if you're downtown and near City Hall, you can stop up to the 3rd floor and apply at Human Resources Department. Love that. Okay. Awesome. Well, let's get into the meat and taters of this show, which is the Ask the Mayor segment, partnered with Lexi's Drink Barn. I'm actually like double fixed. You are, man. Lexi's today. I got this. Got some caffeine due to that 18-hour drive yesterday in me. Thanks for Lexi's for being the partner for this Ask the Mayor segment. If you guys are into fountain cokes, if you're wanting a little snack, check out Lexi's. They are on North Washington as well as Markland. So check them out. Thank you, Lexi's. All right, this first question is from Tracy on Facebook. Okay. Kind of a question. Okay. It says, maybe he needs a lot of backup on crime. The shootings are terrible. Summer is coming, and the children have to worry about being shot playing outside. Children shouldn't have to worry about that. No, they shouldn't. And fortunately, I mean, it appears that shootings are increasing, but I think more than that, it's just the police department is reporting them publicly on a more regular basis as well. And in some cases, you know, I mean, as we get into the summer, you know, although there's a fireworks ordinance in place, you know, you'll start seeing some of that. But actually, the level of crime is down in Kokomo in the last year or so. And a lot of that is because we're continuing to add bodies, getting more presence onto the onto the streets. So it is a concern. We don't want folks to be afraid to play in their front yards, visit the parks, spend time on the trails. And so there's really a more concerted effort on greater police presence to help deter a lot of that. But I mean, unfortunately, those that are going to find guns or get guns are going to do it. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing.
This is probably a dumb question, but like
Never.
when we say that the level of crime is down, is that based on crimes reported? Is that based on, right, like gunshots? I think that's a really like interesting. How do you determine how many gunshots? Right, like
Right.
is that
And a lot of
reports
times
of gunshots?
probably
Is
never-
that
Well, and so that's kind of two different things. So
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably following Kokomo scanner, and so somebody calls 911, says, report shots fired, at this address or this intersection, and so by the time the police arrive, obviously there's nobody there. Now there's times anyway they'll go ahead and investigate, and if they see shell casings around,
Sure.
then it's a report. But I mean, unless somebody has footage, if they got the Ring cameras, security cameras, or something that they can see vehicles that they can identify, then that could lead to
yeah, and again, I'm not
arrest.
implying that these are not legitimate concerns.
Oh, right.
I'm just asking, like, how do we quantify that? Like, how do we measure when we say crime is going up or down? Like, what are those metrics and where are they found, and how do we compare those?
It's reported, and so the police department keeps reports those, and now they've got a software, and I know that was part of the a debate a few years ago, about the way certain crimes were reported on the previous software system, or how the FBI classifies certain levels of crimes, versus how the software, how they're reported now, and so you have to kind of weigh both of those differences when looking at the numbers, but the amount of violent crime has dropped, and I know Chief Stout and his staff are working on reports to make available to the public to show those numbers over the last 2-3 years. I mean, to see how those have trended. But going back to the shots fired, I mean, it's not an actual report of a crime unless somebody's caught.
Well, at the same time, is it against the law to fire a gun?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would think if it's intentional. I mean,
But how do you prove if it's intentional?
Right.
After the fact.
Yeah, if it's
Because you're right. I mean, I see that on.
I know it. Yeah.
I see it on Kokomo Scanner so many times. Does the city have a relationship with Kokomo Scanner?
No.
It's a completely
different. Yeah.
separate entity.
So because the activity, the radio activity, has been made public, for folks like Kokomo Scanner, for them to monitor. I mean, there's not a formal relationship. It's just available, and
are there some
tied in
cities or areas where a scanner is not public?
I believe there are certain cities that do keep their channels, private.
So was that just an ordinance to keep it public in Kokomo?
I don't know if it's necessarily a specific. I think you would need to pass an ordinance in order to make it non-public. I mean, I'd have to check because I've not known, but I would assume that it's the whole transparency. And
I'm not saying things like that.
Public access.
I'm not saying things like that probably don't do some
That's
good.
a good question.
But I feel like it creates so much fear and like stress and anxiety at times where like I never really know what is going on.
Right.
It's weirdly become a habit. I mean, like if we're driving somewhere and we see like a bunch of cops go, my immediate response is like, check the scanner, like get on Kokomo Scanner and see what's going on. But I mean,
well, and
it's a weird, a lot
of the reports
Batman style vigilante platform. They're kind of just on their own, and they've built up such an influence and audience. Like, it kind of makes me nervous to see they could say whatever they want
sometimes,
and it's interesting.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say something.
I was going to say reasonably that's kind of anybody though.
What?
Right?
Oh,
I mean,
not everybody's built an 80,000 person Facebook page though.
I guess that's true.
That's what I truly didn't know if everybody's scanner is public. It sounds like some of them aren't, which makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'd have to check. That's a good question. I'm pretty confident that there are some cities that probably
keep them private or a secret
certain channels.
Yeah, a secret channel. Yeah, because I mean, it makes sense to me that there would be times where you wouldn't want.
Right.
Yeah, the public knowing specific like radio or police language of maybe a specific shooting situations going on. You don't want people to, you know what I mean? So it's, I guess one more question about that reporting, because I think there is value as like the citizen standpoint of this. I think there is value from the reporting coming from, it's kind of what you're doing like the fire department too, a third party coming in, because a police, if the only reporting we're getting is from the actual police department. Now I'm not in any way saying KPD would do this. I have no intention to think that, but like if they're the ones in charge and only the ones in charging the numbers of what the crime is like in their city, that would be concerning. So I see value from, I think the FBI, like you said, they had some reporting that has been used in the past. I mean, the same reason for the fire department, the conversation you're having there. I mean, what if you said, hey, fire department, do a study on yourselves, you know, and like what they would end up saying in that study and what that would come back. And it's like, oh, we did the study and we need $10 million more, you know, or, you know, I mean, everything like that. So there's value to that third party.
Yeah. I think this is an interesting question about like what amount of government is public information when we're talking about things like crime, and what is not public information, right? Like, I think that's a really interesting question.
Because like I said, I think there is. It's a smart
Some's protected,
thing that some
but a lot of it's
should
not.
be protected. Yeah, I mean, like in the moment stuff, you don't want. I mean, shoot, the criminal could be like listening to the police scanner and knowing where everybody's at. You know, like it's interesting. I mean, there's a conversation, just like Washington warfare type of thing. Like you don't want to see people in DC. Coming out and saying, yep, this is how we're going to attack the enemy. Let's go. I mean,
and there are times that the administrators of Kokomo Scanner, if the situation is, you know, somewhat questionable or delicate in nature and stuff, I mean, they'll kind of back off or say, you know, please no comments down below, or, you know, there's more information as it becomes available, or, you know, they're respectful, especially if someone's died. You know, not, you know, well, they're the ones not, you know, quick to, you know, release names or, you know, addresses. It's
that's very good of people. Them. Yeah, it's very good of them, because I mean, I compared it to like Batman, but like that's the whole Spider-Man. With great power becomes great responsibility. You know what I mean? So they fully realize what they have in that audience, to the point where like, hey, we really do have a lot of people listening now. We need to be responsible with this as much as possible. And I think there's a bunch of jokes. They block people all the time on that page, and like to the point where it's almost funny, just the way some people have gotten blocked. But they do. I'm not coming after the scanner right now, but they do things, you know, to try to be responsible due to the size of an audience they have. Yeah. Yep,
they do.
Okay. Next question is from Amy, also on Facebook. We need before and after school care in some place during the time when Kokomo schools are out of school for kiddos with disabilities. The struggle is real for the parents of these children.
That is absolutely correct, and I may have had an email exchange with Amy in the past, and it's true. I mean, there are a few facilities that do, but you know, they're not staffed to the levels that some of these kiddos need, and it's unfortunate that it's, you know, because they are more hands-on, you know, for the needs that and attention that they require, that you can't just bring some high school kids in off the street, you know, after school in a kind of a play area and such. And so, yes, I mean, it is an unfortunate need. I know I've had a conversation with Brianne Bowles over at Buena Vista, and I know the YMCA, you know, does the best they can with what they've got, but it is. I mean, it's definitely a concern, especially when school is out for the summertime for these parents that need to work.
Because that's a specialty type of care, right? Yeah, and that just takes more dollars to pay for the people that do have that specialty, and I mean, then it's a business decision. Like having those dollars, how are you going to get those? Do you charge the families more if they, you know what I mean? Like it's not
and that's the tough part, is like, where's the city's responsibility in that, right? Like how does the city help foster those things?
Yeah, and a lot of that, I mean, initially our responsibility could be, again, through the development department, reaching out to service providers, or, you know, maybe hospitals or other facilities that serve,
have that ability,
kids with special needs, to see if they have the capacity to provide an after-school program. I know in Cass County up in Galveston, Lewis Cass has the Lewis Cass school system provides an after-school care service for kids with special needs, through the school system. And so it just depends on, who's
finding the right vehicle.
Yeah.
And the city can just help, facilitator of those conversations. That makes sense. Yep. All right. Next question is from Madeline on Facebook, and similar to kind of the first question. I agree something needs to be done about the shootings all over town. You can't go anywhere. It's not safe in Kokomo anymore. These bump outs. Oh, she's also throwing this in. Okay. These bump outs are a pain in the butt. They are the dumbest idea ever.
Got it. Well, the shootings, there are safe places.
Have fun with that.
There are plenty of safe places in Kokomo to go. I know if you're following, not to pick on Kokomo Scanner because they're just reporting what's coming over the airwaves. But yes, it does appear that, there are, a number of shots being fired. We try to be as proactive as we can, but those incidents are probably, more few and far between. I honestly believe that, the trails have been safe. The parks are safer. I know we had the incident last summer with Foster Park and Kokomo Beach. But again, patrols are being stepped up, especially as we get into the later spring and summer months. So I guess I hate to hear people say that they think that Kokomo isn't safe. There's no place to go. You can't even play out in your front yard. Yes, those incidents occur, but it's not as bad as what some people may report or think. But we'll continue to work.
That's my question. Is two questions. One, is this? Does it feel like to you this is more of a perception issue than? I
think so. Yeah. Yes, there are reports of shots being fired at times. Sometimes there are false reports. Sometimes it's not that, and sometimes, but there are legitimate concerns. And yes, there's been gunplay, and unfortunately, it may get a little more interesting, throughout the state with the new constitutional carry law in place that allows anyone over the age of 18 to legally possess a firearm, without a license.
Without what license?
I'm sorry, a gun license, a gun permit. So you
did not know that.
So yeah.
Then why is there any need for any gun permit?
There is if, some folks want it just for the sake of showing that they're being more responsible, but two, if you have an Indiana gun permit, that allows you to carry into other states that have reciprocal agreements with the state. So if you own a gun and a resident in Indiana, you can't take it to, and I forget which, we'll just use Illinois. I don't know if Illinois, but if Illinois has a reciprocal, meaning that, okay, if you're an Indiana resident and you have an Indiana gun permit, we will honor that permit for you to allow to carry in the state of Illinois.
Got it.
Without it, you can't. So there is still a benefit of having the gun permit, but now in the state, if you're over 18, you would not be required. Now you have to go through the background check and other things in order to purchase the gun, but yeah, just to actually have it. So that'll make things interesting for enforcement with our police department and sheriff's department. But yeah, no, I think it's
I guess
that's more of a perception.
That's my other wonder is because of the continued access to information that we haven't always had, right? Scanner and some of these things weren't always around. It sounds like some of this, the reporting that's now more available to the public wasn't always around. I guess my question is, has this been more widespread than we had previously realized?
Right.
Yeah, and that's
and I don't know that it has.
I'm not implying that it is,
but
or isn't. I guess I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, and that's I don't know. Don't mean this episode to be just a hate on Kokomo Scanner thing.
No,
I think that's
no, and it's not because they're just reporting what's going over the airwaves.
But there is extreme logic to what you're saying. If you have this massive platform that gets a lot of attention, that is posted to frequently, and literally literally the only thing posted to it
Yeah.
are crimes or potential crimes, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then yes, that creates a culture of fear, or because it's not like they're saying, hey, so someone robbed this store, here's the report of it. But they're not also saying, you know, like, also some person helped somebody cross the street. You know what I mean? Like, it's only negative things going on. So I mean, that there is some reality to that.
Yeah, I am, again, I'm going, like, I will feel like I will always be on that soapbox of, like, more information. Like, give us, like, so sure. I frankly, like, appreciate sort of this, I don't want to say it's Batman vigilante style, right? But I am always going to be sort of be in the seat of, like, have more open communication, more information. I mean, and I know that, like, that's the one-time journalist in me coming out. So, like, I'm not knocking them at all. I'm just curious, like, how much of this perception, is there perception bias? Is some of that because we just have more access to information now than we have probably ever had
And a lot
before.
of that can help as well. I mean, if they're reporting that and they're putting it out there to where others can say, oh, wait, I was just at the intersection of Markland and Washington, and I remember seeing a silver Ford Escape, you know, heading southbound. And
because I mean, I think I'm saying the same thing. I think more information absolutely is best. Being more informed is better. But I feel like sometimes with what you get with Scanner, it's not just more is better. It's more of one type of thing, you know? So I mean, I think it means, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like more is better. Absolutely.
Yeah. And they still
better.
put some good public notices out there and a couple feel good things. So it's not.
But in this case, you know, I think we can all safely say, with great respect, it's not the end all be all. It isn't the full story, right? Like, it is. Yeah. You know, it's reporting on what is ultimately like a CB radio. I mean, it's transcribing things that come across and, like, 10 codes that come across. Yeah. You know, for people, and that is what it is. And I think what people then do with that is that's more on them than it is on the actual institution of the scanner.
Sure. Okay. The second part of that question.
Oh, the bump outs
are pain in the butt.
Right.
They are the dumbest.
Fortunately, we're not putting more in. I mean, with any of the corners that we're working on, yes, we're making them ADA compatible and handicap accessible. As work continues downtown, NIPSCO's got the next phase of their gas line installation, you know, in the downtown area that hopefully as we do improvements after they've been in and around down there, we can scale some of those back a little bit and reduce the amount of inconvenience that some of those pose.
Gotcha. So speaking of improvements, Cassie on Facebook wants to know, are there any plans to fix Phillips Street between Morgan and Sycamore?
Phillips, we never talk about that.
Never heard of her.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. So our engineering department is keeping on top of that. Obviously, both the gas company and water company were both doing work down through Phillips from Sycamore to at least North Street, if not to Morgan. And so now that once the asphalt plant gets open and they're able to do some improvements, we're going to make sure that they put things back in nicer shape than they finished at the end of the year.
And what is the rule for the asphalt opening? What does it have to be?
It's just it's a temperature thing. So many days above, or not just a single day above freezing, but consistent, so they can because I mean they could open it up and get it going, but it costs an astronomical amount of money to fire up the furnaces, if you will, to keep the asphalt in a liquid state when it's molten. Yeah.
That's a great word.
So,
next question is from William on Facebook. Sidewalks.
What? We never talk about sidewalks.
Removing the islands and bump outs that have been so disastrous to delivery trucks, drivers, etc.
So,
let me do it again. Sidewalks.
Okay.
Removing the islands and bump outs that have been so disastrous to delivery trucks, drivers, etc.
Okay. So probably a couple of things. You know, the sidewalks, yes, there are some that are in disrepair. Sidewalks are the responsibility of the property owners, and there is a 50-50 program that the city works with the property owners to repair if they so need. They can get information from the engineering department for that. Also, if there's trees involved that are making sidewalks a buckle due to roots and such. A lot of times the city will address those. So if there's specific areas with that, we can get on that. But yeah, the medians and the bump outs, like I mentioned, we'll scale back those that are the most cumbersome and detrimental. I mean, a lot of it, because the amount of money that's been spent installing a lot of those, especially even the narrower lanes, that would cost just as much to kind of take some of those out. So a lot of them, as we go into address repairs to them, hopefully we'll be able to scale some of those back. We've got a couple more medians along Apperson Way that may be removed. We're working on the design work for the one at Second Missionary Baptist Church, because they see that as more of a hindrance as opposed to safety measure. So that one, yep, we're checking and monitoring.
But I also want to say, sorry, but there's good value to bump outs.
Oh, sure.
Sometimes too. So just having this attitude of rip them all out.
Rip them all out, yeah.
No, because they serve value. And if you don't know them, let me explain. The value on a bump out in an intersection where walking is happening a lot gives that person who is walking across the street, and gives the person driving more visibility of that human being, so less people are going to be hit by vehicles, especially like you were saying too with the ADA compliance, people that are in wheelchairs or something like that. It's better visibility for them as well. It creates a much, much, much safer intersection.
Yes.
So there's value to bump outs.
Well, that was my question, is again, going back to more studies being commissioned, right? But but again, is there any data? Are we seeing less traffic incidents? Are we seeing less, less fatalities or less injuries from any traffic accidents? I'm really curious. Are they doing what they thought they would do?
Yeah, probably fewer fatalities, yes, or even personal injury. The way they look downtown, there's probably more vehicular damage to tires and rims and such, just because people are clipping them as they go.
Bump outs, when they were first installed, I don't think they were originally put in. I could be wrong. This is just my observation, what I remember. They weren't originally put in because there were a lot of injury accidents.
No.
They were put in because this goal of the city, of the administration
to be more walkable.
To be more walkable and to be in a city that
more
has
pedestrian
a lot of pedestrian friendly.
Yep.
And the bump outs were more of a proactive move. So hey, we're going to try to create a more walkable area. Let's make sure this walkable area is safe so people will actually want to walk it. So it wasn't an issue of tons of people were getting hit by cars.
Sure.
It was more of a preventive measure. If we're going to try to make this more walkable, let's make it safe.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Next question from Mark on Facebook. What is he going to do? Here it is. To solve the issue of Kokomo not having an ambulance service for its citizens.
The city does have an ambulance service provided by both hospitals and a few of the township departments as well. So both hospitals have at least 3 or 4 ambulance trucks that they can put in service. Usually at least 3 at one time during the heightened hours, maybe 2 overnight with the assistance from township and Rocheville and Greentown. But obviously with reports of there not being a medic available at the time of a call or something, there has been a concern that there's not enough service, especially if if one's being used to transport someone to Indianapolis, or if one gets called and is at an active fire that would remain. So what are we doing about it? I just talked about the study of the fire department. Yeah. I've been criticized for the last probably year and a half because I didn't come in and flip the switch and throw firefighters on an ambulance and get them out on the street. And yes, that's something that I'm still committed to. But last year, when we spent about $1.2 million in overtime alone, in the fire department due to COVID absences, due to injuries and surgeries and such. And with the staffing levels that they are, the only way to staff an ambulance then and now is to schedule forced overtime. And if we're already overspending in overtime, we needed to get a plan in place. We need to get more bodies on the department so that we can comfortably get an ambulance in service. So an ambulance is coming. We are going to have an ambulance. In fact, and just on a smaller scale, some of the events, I can't remember if I mentioned it last week or not, but the Speedway has, Kokomo Speedway has worked out an arrangement with the fire department to have 2 of their firefighters, so our ambulance will be at the Kokomo Speedway on those evenings of races. May even be used at some of the events to free up the, like the Haynes Apperson, so, if they need it for the summer concert series and such. I mean, so there'll be initial use for that to where we're only scheduling short blocks of overtime in order to do it until we get the staffing up. I mean, so I get it. I mean, people are, patiently waiting, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, some are.
Some are. And they're saying, I'm not doing anything. We're not doing anything, not doing anything. We want to do it right. I mean, we want to do it the most fiscally responsible way as well. And if the only way to do it is to get more bodies, then we need to get more bodies. We need to get a plan in place, and it's coming. I mean, so ambulances are, it'll just be the one. I mean, because then it takes 8 additional firefighters to staff 1 ambulance. And really, the way the department's set up now, we're probably 8 firefighters short now, just being on trucks. Take the ambulance out of it. They say, ideally we would, for the city our size and the coverage, that we would need, 7 to 8 more bodies just on trucks without the ambulance. So add that plus the idea of, so we need 16 bodies, which takes us back to, because the last time Kokomo had an ambulance service out of the fire department, there were 2 ambulance trucks, but that was back in 2007, 2008, and we had 122 firefighters. We've got 89 right now. So 122 versus 89, that right there is the stark difference in it. And so until we can get bodies to put on here without breaking the bank, on overtime. And part of that, probably comes from us and the council giving them more funding in their budgets for overtime in order to do this, and we'll work on that using the results of this study. But we will have an ambulance with the Kokomo Fire Department in the rotation with the hospitals to assist and supplement what the hospitals are already providing.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough situation, and like you said, it sounds like a lot of people just wanted you to flip a switch, but at the same time, let's say you did flip that switch, right? And boom, okay, we have an ambulance again. Here's what's going on. We're going to lose a bunch of taxpayers' money every month, like paying for these people, paying for this ambulance. And then you'd have people upset about that, the city going into debt for this ambulance system. There's
find ways, but we just need to work within the budget, and we're getting there. We're getting there, and really those that are questioning and wondering and stuff, I'd be more than happy. Instead of, shooting things from a keyboard, they can call 456-7444, set up an appointment, come in and talk. I can sit down with Chief Frazier, and some of the firefighters. We can go through where we are, what the plan is, what the thoughts are, and give the reasonings behind it, and sit down and discuss it. So
it's
be more than happy to do that.
Our country in general is really struggling with this workforce issue in general right now, and that's not limited to government. That government's dealing with those same things too, and it's one thing asking somebody to sign up for a nice salary office job with cushion vacation and all these benefits, and I'm guessing it's not easy to sign up for a job that you're going to be thrown into buildings that are on fire. Right. So it's it's a hard job to recruit.
Even the hospitals getting EMTs. Just to staff the ambulance themselves. We hear that sometimes is a struggle as well.
Which, this really just showed, because this has been a topic, for how long now? Since probably it was taken
2 or 3
away.
years,
Even before even before when you were in office, which really shows this isn't, or it doesn't look like or sound like it's just one of those things that's just been opinion.
Right.
It's difficult to actually make it happen. Yeah. It's difficult to make it happen without spending frivolously and just getting a bunch of money. Our firefighters even working more and more and more overtime when there was already so much in overtime approved last year. It's a sticky situation. It sounds like your head is You want
and they're willing to do it. I mean, nothing against the firefighters themselves. I mean, they're willing to to do this, but I mean, because a lot of them work the number of hours of overtime to begin with. I mean, we still got to consider their health and their families' well-being and such. I mean, the time and such. I mean, so we want to make sure that we're doing it the best way we can.
Yeah, that's the thing is that like that I imagine the toll on a family. I mean, that's tough. Those shifts are 24-hour shifts, on, off, a couple days off, back on, 24 hours gone. I mean, like that, I've never realized how much that,
well, plus the type of job.
Yeah.
Like your loved one isn't just out there working a bunch, like picking up a bunch of hours. They're out there working in what's potentially dangerous situations.
And that may be
it's even more than just dad works a lot or mom works a lot.
And that may be what it looks like. It may be kind of a hybrid work schedule. I know you just made a perfect point that their shifts are 24-hour shifts that, that maybe we look at the heightened hour for, ambulance runs, and then they only work 6-hour shifts or 8-hour shifts or something as opposed to full 24, but then you get into, the contractual agreements, with the union to make sure that, if, those that are, that are offered the overtime, okay, well, if they're offered overtime and they get 24 hours, so, well, I want to do, this if it's only shortened, I mean, so we got to kind of work through those too.
Yeah, so
there's so much to it. There's so much to it, and like I
so much more than just the light switch you described. It's so much more than just turning it on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Those are the questions for the Lexi.
Thank you all. Yes.
The mayor segment.
Thank you so much.
Good questions today. Led to great conversations. That's always nice. So,
thank you, Lexi's.
Yeah, always thanks to Lexi's. They're powering me through today.
Getting through it.
Do you have a dad joke for us?
I do, and it's not going to be one of my own. Okay. I had the pleasure of speaking to probably over it seemed like over 100 third graders out at Western Elementary last week, and towards the end of that session, which was a blast to begin with, a nice young lady sitting up front, she goes, "I don't have a question, but I have a joke." And I'm like, "Okay, hold on to that." So at the end of the session, I allowed her to tell her joke, and I saw her again at Target. It was great seeing you if you're watching this, and I asked her permission if I could use this, and she said yes, so I'm going to use this. You know why the toilet paper didn't cross the road?
I'm not sure. Why didn't the toilet paper cross the road?
It was stuck on a crack. Is that not the perfect third grade joke or not? Oh my gosh.
That's good. What was her name?
I did.
Well, great joke.
She was
girl from Western. Congratulations. That was a good one.
Adorable.
Love that.
Well done.
Awesome. Well, thanks for watching this episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show, partnered with Walls Furniture and Mattress here in Kokomo. Leave a question below if you have a question for next week's show. As we do the Lexi's Drink Bar and Ask the Mayor segment. Love answering questions. Just leave a comment below. We'd love to get that done.
Just make sure that question is not, when is Phillips Street going to be done?
Yeah, sure.
Or just like all caps, sidewalks.
Yeah. Sidewalks!
Sidewalks. Hey, quick little plug, though. This Thursday, since you watch this on Thursday, the 14th, out at Ivy Tech from 11 to 3, career fair. So City of Kokomo is partnering with Ivy Tech, IUK, and Work One to put on a career fair. Over 70 employers going to be out there. Brush up your resume. Be out there? Fire department will be out there as well.
Yeah.
Fire and police. Yep, you betcha. City will be out there, but over 70 employers. Brush up that resume, print off about a dozen copies, dress for success, and head on out there if you want something to do. Then the following Thursday on the 21st, we're working with the Howard County Early History group that's just created, and doing a Native American panel, both at 2:30 out at IUK, 2:30 and 6 o'clock. 2 sessions on that. We've got actually 4 tribal nations, representatives from 4 tribal nations coming together to discuss the past, present, and future of tribes here in Indiana. Pretty cool.
Love that. Very cool. So check out those things.
Thanks.
I'm guessing City of Kokomo on Facebook. You can find out details and information.
Sorry,
awesome, folks. No, you're good.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
All right. See you, Kokomo.